Hello students, my name is Jyoti Sharan and I am your biology teacher. Today we are going to start our chapter 18 that is your now second chapter in human biology, that is body fluids and circulation. In this chapter you will come to know about the body fluids that are involved in circulation, that is our blood and lymph, and the detailed mechanism of circulation, that how the blood is circulated in the body and what is the regulation and the control over the circulation of blood in body, and also some disorders that are related to the circulation of blood. Okay, so start with the circulation. What is circulation? Circulation is a circulatory circular movement of substances in the body that are transported along the a particular fluid substance. Means the movement of substances by through a particular liquid fluid or a fluid substance to a particular center, and from cells to the organs, and from various organs to the cells of the another organs. Means a continuous supply of substances or nutrients is maintained through this particular mechanism, that is known as circulation. In the circulation, the two fluids are most important that performs the function of circulation, that are blood and lymph. You have studied about blood in the chapter 7, that is the structural organization in animals. In that chapter you have detailed studied about the blood and the blood cells, or the component of the blood. So blood, it is the most favored fluid by higher organism. Most of the higher organism, especially vertebrates or some higher invertebrates also, they prefer the blood for the circulation. Means they are having a well defined circulatory system through which the blood flow in their complete body, and the materials are transported through this particular fluid, that is blood. Along with blood, a transparent or whitish fluid is also present, which is rich in lymphocytes, and that is termed as lymph. So lymph, it is a secondary transporting tissue in the animals. What are the components of blood and what is the blood formed of? Blood, it is consisting of plasma and the formed element. Approx 55% composition is formed by flat plasma, and the 45% it is occupied by formed elements. Plasma, it consisting out of 55%, it is consisting of 90% water, 7 to 8% proteins, 1 to 2% minerals, and another compounds which may involve any hormones, which may involve any chemical drugs, and also the waste materials also, and gases which are transported through the blood. Formed elements, these form the blood cells or corpuscles. You have studied about formed element in chapter 7 in detail, that involve three types of blood corpuscles, that are RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. RBCs are as you know very well, that red blood corpuscles which are red colored, and enucleated means devoid of nucleus, and these are containing of Hb, that is hemoglobin molecule, and it is transporting carbon dioxide and oxygen to various tissues of the body, and carbon dioxide from tissues to the lungs, and oxygen from lungs to tissues. WBCs, these are white blood corpuscles, and these are responsible for all our immunity that protect us from various kind of pathogens. Platelets, these are irregularly shaped cells and are responsible for the blood coagulation or clotting, means in the case of an injury or wound, these come in action and stop the bleeding from that particular part of the body. RBCs, they are related to a concept that determine our kind of blood, our blood group type. So what is blood group? Blood group, it is determined by a set of antigen which are present on the surface of RBCs. Means the type of antigen, it determines the type of blood group. There are in general two antigens which either it may be A or it may be B, and the RBCs, they also produce some antibodies against these antigens. So the blood group, it is controlled by a gene, I gene, and if the I gene is having A antigen, then the blood group will be A, but it will contain anti-B or the B antibody. Means if the blood with blood group B or the B antigen B is transported to that particular person having blood group A, then its blood or its RBCs would be immediately destroyed due to this antigen antibody interaction, and the person it will die. So that's why it is very important to match the blood groups before any blood transfusion. If the person having B antigen, then its blood group will be B, but it will have anti-A or the A antibodies. Means antibodies, they always be opposite to the blood group. If the person having blood antigen A and B, both of the antigen, then it will have no any antibody and the blood group is AB. And if the person having no any antigen, then it will have antibodies against both of the blood groups and its blood group will be O. Who can be a donor for a specific kind of blood group? A blood group, it receives blood only from blood group A and O. B blood group receives blood only from blood group B and O. AB can receive from all type of blood groups. O, it can receive only from the blood group O. So on the basis of this concept, the universal donor will be O blood group and the universal acceptor is the AB blood group, because it can receive from all kind of blood groups. So what is the positive and negative? You all have that the blood group positive and negative signs are marked against any kind of blood group. So what is this positive and negative factors? Along with this antigen, an additional factor is also present in the blood, which is also help in determining the blood group. That is the rhesus factor. For the first time it was discovered in the rhesus monkey, so it is name of behalf of that particular monkey, it is termed as named as rhesus factor and is abbreviated or denoted as RH factor. If the blood RBC surface having this particular rhesus factor or the RH factor, then the blood group will be positive, and if the RH factor is absent, then the blood group will be negative. The positive and negative signs are marked to determine the presence or absence of this particular rhesus factor. Before blood transfusion, this compatibility is also determined for RH factor. Means the positive blood group is transfused to the positive and the negative is transfused to the negative on the basically. But the positive, if the person is RH positive, means then he or she is having RH factor, then he or she will not have antibodies against that RH factor. But if the person is having RH negative factor, then means it is lacking RH factor, so it will have antibodies against this particular RH factor. And if the positive blood group is transfused to that particular person, he or she will immediately die because of presence of these antibodies, which will destroy the RBCs of the blood. So on this basis, the O negative make the rarest blood group in the world. Means O negative, it can receive blood only from O negative, means the person having blood group O and lacking the rhesus factor. Okay. Now the compatibility factor, it comes in action in the case of RH positive mother. If the RH positive mother is having a fetus as RH negative, means the fetus is lacking RH negative in first pregnancy, then they both of them blood is separated by the placenta, so there is no transfusion of blood of mother and the fetus. But at the delivery time, some fetal blood may be exposed to mother's blood, and in that particular case, the mother which is having RH factor already, she is exposed to these particular RH antibodies, and she start to develop that particular antibodies. And in the next case, if the second fetus, it also becomes RH negative, then the pregnancy, it will be immediately terminated due to the antibodies present in the mother's blood. They are supplied to the fetus along with the placenta, and the fetal RBCs or the hemoglobin, they rupture immediately, and the fetus, it is discarded, or the pregnancy, it is terminated due to disruption of these RBCs because of the transfusion of Rh antibodies from mother to fetus. Now, what is blood coagulation? Blood coagulation is the clotting of blood. The clotting of then what is the clotting of blood? Blood clotting, it occurs at the time of any wound or injury. You have observed a blackish or brownish formation at the site of any wound or injury. It is formed by the deposition of dead elements of the blood. Dead blood elements, they are captured by trapped by a particular fiber which is produced from platelets, and that's why platelets are responsible for the blood clotting, because platelets, they trap the dead elements of the blood and make a network of them with the help of that particular fiber which is produced from those platelets, and its network of these particular fibers along with dead elements, it stops the bleeding from that particular wound or injury site, and the blood, it is clotted or coagulated at that particular site. What is the mechanism of blood coagulation or clotting? Blood coagulation, it is regulated by two particular enzymes, out of which first convert a particular enzyme to its active form. The prothrombin, it is present in the blood into in its inactive form. The prothrombin, it is converted to its active form by the action of enzyme thrombokinase. Thrombokinase, it converts prothrombin to thrombin. Thrombin is now active, and when it becomes active only at this time of any wound or injury with the help of vitamin K. Now, the thrombin, it converts the inactive fibers of the platelets to active fiber, that the fibrinogens, they are converted to fibrin with the help of thrombin protein, the presence of calcium ions, and then fibrin, it trap the dead elements of the blood and make a network at the site of wound or injury, and in this way it clots or coagulates the blood at that particular site, and the bleeding is stopped. Now, lymph. What is lymph? Lymph is that particular fluid which is containing majorly of lymphocytes. Lymphocytes, as you know, lymphocytes, they are part of WBCs, type of WBCs, and which provide immunity. So, lymph, it is responsible for all our immunity, means the immune system, it is formed by the lymph. Lymph, it is filtered from blood. The lymph is filtered from the blood itself by some specific organs, the spleen. They are termed as lymph organs. Mean the lymph organs, they filter the blood from blood and filter the lymph from blood and transfer it into the specific vessel that are termed as lymph vessels. The lymph vessels, they rupture into lymph capillaries at the tissue level, and the capillaries, they ultimately unite to form the venules, and these venules, they ultimately meet the veins. Means the blood, it is lymph, it is separated from the blood from arteries, and then by lymph vessels it is transported to the tissue, and in the tissues the lymph vessels, they get broken into the capillaries. The capillaries, they form the venules, and the venules, through venules the lymph, it mixes into the veins, means it is separated from the blood, and in the end it is again mixed to the blood for its backflow to the heart or for its purification. So, what are the functions of lymph? Lymph, as we know, it consisting of lymphocytes, so it is majorly responsible for our immunity. It also play a role in transport of substances which are present in the blood plasma. It is also helpful in the exchange of gases, nutrients between cells and bloods. The diffusion process, it also accommodates that particular process for the easy transport of gases and nutrients between cells and blood. Now, how the circulation it is maintained, or how circulation it does take place. The circulation, it is maintained or controlled by the circulatory system. The circulatory system, it is majorly consisting of heart and blood vessels. Heart, it acting as a circulatory center, mean it receive or pump the blood from body and to the body, and blood vessels, they carry the blood from body to heart and then from heart to blood. So here we have to study the detailed structure of the this circulatory system that involve heart and blood vessels. So what is circulatory system? The system which is formed by the organs which are responsible for the circulation and which help in circulation, and these majorly consisting of heart and blood vessels. Heart is totally a muscular structure which is present in our left side of the thoracic cavity in a separate cavity, and that cavity is termed as pericardium, and the membrane of this pericardium is termed as pericardial membrane, and the fluid filled in this particular cavity is termed as pericardial fluid. The fluid, it maintains the heart at its position, means it absorbs the mechanical shock and fix the heart at its position. Heart, it is present dorsally, means it is present to our back side. In mammals, heart, it is 4 chambered having 2 auricles, 2 ventricles, and the auricles and ventricles, they are well regulated with the help of valves. Valve, they are responsible for the opening and closing of the chamber of the heart, and the nodes, they are responsible for the contraction and relaxation of the heart. So here you can see that the heart, it is 4 chambered. These are auricles of the blood and these are ventricles of the heart. The auricles and ventricles, they are separated by a well developed musculature. Septum means septum or a division made by strong muscles, and this is termed as generally septum of the heart. The septum, auricles and ventricles, they are regulated and they are checked by some valves, and the valve present between right ventricle, right auricle and right ventricle are 3 muscular valves and termed as tricuspid valve, while the valves between the left auricle and left ventricle are 2 muscular valves and termed as bicuspid valves. Okay. The auricles, they are receiving blood from a major vein that is termed as superior vena cava. The superior vena cava is the major vein which open into the right auricle. Okay. Right auricle, it opens into the right ventricle, and the right ventricle, it opens into the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery, it consisting the blood to the lungs, and then the third chamber is our left auricle. It receives blood from lungs and open with the help of bicuspid valve into the left ventricle, and the left ventricle, it blood pump to the all our body. So what is the function of nodes? There are 2 types of nodes present in the hearts. First is superior node, and it is termed as also termed as sino-auricular node. Sino-auricular node, and it is abbreviated as SAN. And the sino-auricular node, it is abbreviated as SAN. SAN, it is acting as pacemaker of the heart, means it initiates the contraction of the heart. The heart contraction, it is initiated by the contraction in the auricle. So sino-auricular node or superior node, it causes contraction of both the auricles. The SA node is present at the upper side of right auricle, but it supplies the signals, or it supplies the fibers to the left ventricle too, which cause the contraction of both of the ventricles at the same time. And the second node is auriculoventricular node या atrioventricular node. It is termed as AVN or AV node. The AVN or AV node, it is present in the lowermost region of the right auricle, and it causes the contraction of ventricles. The AV node, it gives rise to a bundle of fibers that is termed as bundle of His, and these fibers, they are transported or this bundle of His, they are supplied to hold the ventricle with the fine network of fiber that is termed as Purkinje fibers, and these Purkinje fibers, they transmit the impulse generated by AV node to the whole of the ventricle, and it causes the simultaneous contraction of both of the ventricles due to the supply of the impulse with the help of this Purkinje fiber, which is present in bundle of Fish originating from the AV node. It causes together contraction of both of the ventricles, by which the both of the ventricles, they together pump the blood into pulmonary and the body arteries. Okay, so here this is the simplified structure of our heart. So now what is the structure of blood vessels? There are two types of blood vessels. Blood vessels are those vessels in which our blood flow. So the two type of blood vessels are veins and arteries. As you can see, the blue color they are veins and red color they are veins. Why they are colored so, means why we color veins as blue and arteries as the blood? Because most of the veins, all of the veins of our body are consisting of deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein, as you can see in the diagram, that pulmonary veins, they are carrying the blood from lungs to heart, means they consisting of oxygenated blood, while that of arteries, they are, all arteries are oxygenated except the pulmonary artery, means the pulmonary artery in which the right ventricle pump the blood and it carries the blood from heart to lungs for oxygenation, means pulmonary, only the pulmonary artery consisting of deoxygenated blood and only the pulmonary vein is consisting of oxygenated blood, and all veins they are consisting of deoxygenated blood except pulmonary, and all arteries they are consisting of oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. Okay. Now what is the characteristic of these veins and bloods? Veins, they are thin walled. Thin walled, because of their thin walls, their lumen is wider than the artery. So wide lumen, wider will be the lumen, lower will be the pressure of the blood in the veins. So veins, they are carrying blood from body organs to heart with a lower pressure because of thin wall and wide lumen of veins, while arteries, they carry blood from heart to body with a high pressure due to thick wall and narrow lumen. This lumen becomes narrow because of the thickening in the wall. The wall, they are generally made triple layered. The innermost and outermost will be the epithelium. Between epithelial tissue there is present a layer of connective tissue, and between connective tissue and the epithelial tissue the muscular tissue is present. The muscular tissue, it is responsible for the flow of blood through the arteries. It makes the blood vessels flexible for making them suitable for the blood flow. The muscular wall of the arteries is too much thick so that it can accommodate a high pressure and maintain that particular pressure for the rapid flow of blood from heart to the arteries. Okay, these two concepts, thick wall and high pressure, they accommodate each other, because without thick wall, high pressure, it can't be accommodated by the blood vessels, and without thickening in the walls, the high pressure, it can't be maintained. So both these factors, they are accommodating or supplementing to each other. Now the circulation of the blood, it result in events of some changes that occur in the cyclic way in the heart, and that particular series of changes that are repeating in them in particular cyclic way to make the circulation continued, that particular series of cyclic changes is termed as cardiac cycle. cardiac heart means cycles which are occurring in heart for circulation. So if we define a particular cardiac cycle, then it is consisting of two phases. One is systole and second is diastole. Systole is that phase in which heart is contracted, and diastole it is that phase in which our heart it relaxes. The auricles and ventricles, auricle and ventricle, they relax and they contract at different time, but both auricles contract and relax at the same time, and both ventricle they contract and relax at the same time. The heart rate is approx 72 beats per minute. Okay, and in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. So if we count the time period of one particular cycle, then it come to be 60 by 72 and approx 0.8 second. Means our heart receive blood and pump back it into just 0.8 second. Means one cardiac cycle is completed into 8 fraction of 1 second. So what is the duration of different events? What are the general events which are occurring in the cardiac cycle or during the cardiac cycle? Auricular systole, in which the auricles they contract. Auricles remains contracted just for the one fragment of a particular second. Means the duration of auricular contraction is only 0.1 second, while the ventricular systole means ventricles they have to pump the blood with a higher pressure to the arteries. So ventricles they contract for a longer time than the auricles, and the ventricular contraction lasts for 0.3 second, means for the third fraction of a particular second. Now auricles they remains contracted for only 0.1 second. So for 0.7 second they remains in their dilated or relaxed form, while for 0.3 second ventricles they contract, so the 0.5 second they are relaxed, and there is 0.4 second in heart. Means there is a duration of 0.4 second in which the auricles as well as ventricles they remain in the relaxed phase, and that particular relaxed phase in which auricle and ventricle collectively relaxing and collectively dilating is termed as joint diastole. So if we have to define the different events in the cardiac cycle, then one is auricular systole, that is for 0.1 second, second is ventricular systole, that is for 0.3 second, and then there is joint diastole, that is for 0.4 seconds. Now we come with the mechanism of cycle, means how this cycle is maintained or regulated. At the base of veins or at the last point of veins, the walls are present which are termed as semi-auricular walls, or the walls which are opening of the auricles to receive blood from veins. As these semi-auricular walls opens, the blood it is pumped into the auricles by veins. Blood in the auricles it gives a signal to our autonomic nervous system, and this autonomic nervous system gives a signal to SAN, means semi-auricular node or sino-auricular node, which generate an impulse of around 70 millivolt, and this impulse it is sufficient to make auricles for contraction. Means the sino-auricular nodes they generate an impulse, and that impulse makes auricles to contract. Right and left both the auricles contract simultaneously, and when these auricles contract they exert a pressure on the walls on the base of auricles that are generally tricuspid and bicuspid walls. These tri and bicuspid walls they get opened, and when these walls opens, the blood from auricles it is pumped into ventricles. As the ventricles receive the blood, the AVN atrioventricular node present at the base of auricles, it generates the same impulse generated by the sino-auricular node, and this AVN transmit the impulse through bundle of His which is passes through Purkinje fibers, and in this way the impulse generated by atrioventricular node is transmitted to the complete ventricles, and this impulse it make the simultaneous contraction of ventricles, and when ventricles they contract, they exert a pressure on semilunar valves which are present on the base of the ventricles, and when this pressure is exerted on the semilunar valve, they get opened and blood it is pumped into arteries by the ventricles. When blood is pumped to the arteries means the blood it is transported to the tissues, and from tissues is come again back to the heart with the help of veins. Now veins they again exert pressure on semi-auricular valve, it again transmit or induce the next cardiac cycle, and in this way all these changes and all these sequences are repeated again and again to make the cardiac cycle, so that the blood circulation it remain continued in our body. So what is the total cardiac output? In one cycle the heart it pumps around 70 ml of blood to the body, means in one single cycle only 70 ml of blood is pumped out by the body. Total cycle depend on the beat rate. On average normal heart beat rate means the number of times the heart is pumping blood into arteries is the heart beat rate. So total cycle are dependent on beat rate. On average beats are 72 beat per minute. So total cycle will be 72 cycles per minute. In one cycle heart it is pumping the 70 ml of blood. So total cardiac output means the total amount of blood heart can pump per minute is termed as total cardiac output. So the total cardiac output can be calculated by multiplying the stroke volume to the heartbeats. Stroke volume is 70 ml and the heartbeats are 72. So it comes approx 5000 ml or 5 liter, means in 1 minute our heart it is pumping around 5 liter of blood per minute. So that is our cardiac output or the total cardiac output, that comes around 5 liter. So how can we determine that our heart is working properly or not? Means the cardiac cycle it is normal or not. The cardiac cycle or the electrical events that are occurring in the during cardiac cycle with the help of sino-auricular node or atrioventricular node, they are plotted on a graph with the help of a machine, and that particular graph is termed as electrocardiogram. Here it is noticeable that the graph which is represented as electrical events occurring during cardiac cycle, that graph is termed as electrocardiogram, while the machine that is used to plot this graph is termed as electrocardiograph. So the machine is electrocardiograph and the graphical representation of that particular electrical events is electrocardiogram. So ECG it is electrocardiogram, that is the graphical representation of chemical events that are occurring during a particular cardiac cycle. So to determine the accurate activity of heart or accurate functioning of heart, the ECG is the best way to determine the functioning of the heart. So how ECG it works? For ECG we have to connect a particular person through this machine, and for this connection we are having leads. There are generally 3 leads which are connected on our wrist, one in each wrist, means the one lead is connected to each wrist and one is connected to our left ankle. And if we have to determine very precisely and very accurately, then multiple leads they can be connected to the chest nearby the heart, where the impulses are generated by these sino-auricular and atrioventricular nodes. So what is determined, what is examined in this particular ECG? The ECG, it appears in the form of peaks, means the impulses, they make peaks on the graph. Okay, so the peaks, they are plotted as graph, and on the behalf of these peaks that appears during a particular cardiac cycle, the functioning of heart is determined. So major waves or peaks that are observed during a particular ECG are P wave, QRX wave and QRS complex or T wave. P wave, it determines auricular contraction and it lasts for 0.1 second. Here the time it is noted down, and here the functioning of heart means the electrical impulses or the electrical changes. So P wave, it just lasts for 0.1 second and it denotes the auricular depolarization, means auricular contraction. So P wave, it denotes the auricular contraction. If P wave, it lasts for 0.1 second, then auricular contraction is okay. Then comes QRX complex. The QRS complex, it determines the auricular depolarization or auricular contraction. The S wave, it lasts with 0.4 seconds. So 0.1 and 0.3 is time period for ventricular contraction. If the S wave, it appear at 0.4 second, then ventricular depolarization is also okay. Then comes the T wave. T wave, it represent the joint diastole or repolarization, means dilation. So T wave, it is representing the joint diastole, and if T wave, it ends with 0.8 second, then ECG is very normal, means heart, it is functioning properly and precisely, because here one particular cycle gets completed. 0.1 second पे end होगी P wave and 0.4 second it get ended with the QRS complex or the S wave, and with 0.8 second the T wave it ends up. So total time period of one cardiac cycle is 0.8 second, and our complete one wave that starting from P and ended by the T is completed in 0.8 seconds, so that our heart, it is functioning very well and accurately. So this is a normal ECG graph. Now mammalian, they are concerned with a fact that determine the double circulation. Then what is the double circulation? Means this term, it is related to the circulation in the mammals. In mammals, the blood, it is oxygenated in the lungs, and that oxygenated blood is transported separately by a separate chamber to the all body parts, and this is the most preferable advancement of vertebrates or most preferable advancement of mammals particularly, and that's why mammals, they are most advanced organisms of this universe. So double circulation is that in which blood is passed 2 times from the heart, means the blood, if in a single complete circulation, the blood, it is transported 2 times by the heart, means the same blood is pumped by the 2 times. On the first time it is pumped by the right ventricle, and second time it is pumped by the left ventricle. So the double circulation, it involves 2 types of circuits, out of which one is pulmonary circuit, which exists between heart and lungs, means the right portion of the heart, it receives deoxygenated blood. Auricles, right auricle, they receive the deoxygenated blood, and this deoxygenated blood is pumped to the ventricle, and the ventricle, they pumped it into pulmonary artery, and this pulmonary artery take the blood to lungs, and in lungs the blood vessels, they get splitted into the capillaries, and capillaries, they are thin walled, and by this thin wall the gaseous transfusion, it take place between lungs and the blood, means CO2 is transported to the lungs, while oxygen from lungs is transported to the bloods, and oxygenation of blood, it take place in lungs. After oxygenation, pulmonary artery, it carries the blood to the right left auricle, and from left auricle the blood it is pumped transported to the left ventricle, and from left ventricle the blood is pumped to the body. In body the cells or tissue it make use of oxygen present in that blood, and in response they transport the CO2 to the blood, and that deoxygenated blood it is again carried to the heart by vena cava or the veins of our body. So, in this way before transporting to the body tissue, the heart it is transported or it is pumped 2 times by the heart, first by the right part and second by the left part, and then it make a complete circulation, and this is called as double circulation. The second type of circuit which exists between the heart and the body tissues is termed as systemic circuit. So, pulmonary circuit between right portion of the heart and the lungs, while systemic is between left part and the body tissues. Left part it only pump that particular blood, but receives by the right, and it is pumped by the right and received by the left portion of the heart, and makes a complete circulation by mechanism of double circulation. Then how cardiac activity it is regulated by the heart. The cardiac activity it is regulated by our autonomous nervous system, means the self-existing nervous system. There is no control of the organism itself on its circulation activity. The autonomous nervous system it is regulating the heartbeat or the cardiac activity of a particular individual. Along with autonomous nervous system, the adrenaline hormone, that are epinephrine or norepinephrine hormones, they are also having an important role in the regulation of cardiac activity. The adrenaline hormone they act as a signal for the autonomous nervous system, and on the behalf of that particular signal, autonomous nervous system it generate the impulse or signals which act on the sino-auricular node and ultimately on the atrioventricular node of the heart, and heart it makes its contraction and relaxation. The autonomous nervous system it consisting of 2 parts, that is sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic nervous system it is responsible for increase in any activity that are controlled by autonomous nervous system, while parasympathetic nervous system it is responsible for decrease in activity that is controlled by autonomous nervous system. So, when we need our heartbeat rate to be increased, then sympathetic autonomous nervous system it comes in action, and it makes SAN to contract to generate impulse simultaneously rapid, and it causes the impulse generated by atrioventricular node, and finally the ventricular contraction. Means the signal from sympathetic nervous system it makes the rapid ventricular contraction, which result in the increased cardiac output and hence ultimately the increased heartbeat rate. It occurs generally in the activities when our energy requirement is increased, which may be any exercise, which may be any physical activity, and which may be any feelings of the nervousness. When our heartbeat rate has to be decreased, then parasympathetic nervous system it comes in action. The parasympathetic nervous system it decreases the ventricular contraction by decreasing the signals which are received by sino-auricular node and ultimately by the atrioventricular node, and the decreased ventricular contraction result in the decreased cardiac output and ultimately the decreased heartbeat rate. So, autonomous nervous system along with its sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is controlling and regulating all our cardiac activity or heartbeat rate. There is no control of the organism itself, means it is totally involuntary. It is not in the control of that particular organism. The autonomous nervous system is the only regulatory portion of the circulation of any particular individual. So, blood it to determine the heart is acting properly or not. Blood pressure is also measured. So, what is blood pressure? The pressure which is exerted by blood on the walls of blood vessels is termed as blood pressure. The blood pressure, the arteries, they are having a higher blood pressure, and the veins, they are having a different blood pressure than arteries. Arteries, they are having a generally pressure of 120 mmHg, and the pressure which is exerted by bloods on the wall of arteries is termed as systolic pressure, means the pressure by which ventricles, they pump the blood into the arteries is termed as systolic pressure, while that the blood by which the heart is receiving the blood from veins, or the pressure which is exerted by blood on the walls of veins is termed as diastolic pressure, and it measures about 80 mm of Hg. So, the normal range of blood pressure, it comes out as 120 by 80 mm Hg, out of which 120 is higher pressure, that is arterial pressure, or 120 mm Hg, and the lower pressure, that is 80 mm Hg, is the venal pressure, that is 80 mm Hg. So, what is the disorders related with this circulation? The first type of disorder comes with this blood pressure. The blood pressure, it is measured with the help of an apparatus, that is sphygmomanometer. Now, what is this sphygmomanometer? The sphygmomanometer, along with this sphygmomanometer, the stethoscope is also used. The stethoscope is used to hear the heart sounds which are generally produced by the closing of heart valves. The first sound is produced by the enclosure of the bicuspid and tricuspid valve, and the first sound produced as dub, and the second sound produced as lub. So, lub, dub. This sound is heard by while measuring the blood pressure. When first sound is appeared and when first sound is noticed, then the pressure noticed is our systolic pressure, means that will be the pressure at which the arteries or the arteries are receiving blood from the ventricles. When second sound is heard, that is the sound by which veins, they are transporting the blood to the auricles, means that is our venal pressure. So, by noticing this sound, blood pressure is measured. So, use of stethoscope is used to hear these particular sounds during measuring the blood pressure, while the apparatus that is used to measure the blood pressure is sphygmomanometer. So, what are the disorders which are linked with the blood pressure? That is hypertension and hypotension. Hyper means higher. The persons which are having blood pressure above than the normal range are termed as hypertension person. Okay? Hypertension, it occurs generally because of congestion or deposition in the arteries, which may be because of deposition of any mineral or generally the cholesterol. It makes the lumen of the arteries more narrow, and it results in the increased blood pressure. And due to any reason, if the arteries are dilated, their lumen is dilated, their lumen becomes broader, then the blood pressure, it becomes lower than the normal range, and that situation is termed as hypotension. Along with these disorders, some disorders are also linked with the malfunctioning of the circulation, out of which one is coronary artery disease, and this is the most popular and most affecting the population, also abbreviated as CAD, coronary arteries disease, in which arterial blockage occurs. Which arteries? The arteries which are supplying blood to heart, means coronary arteries are those arteries which supply blood to heart, and if there is any congestion, any blockage in those particular arteries, then oxygen is not transported to the heart muscles, and in that case heart, it will not function properly, because for contraction and relaxation Heart muscles, they require energy, and that energy is derived by the oxidation of food, and if oxygen it is not transported properly to the heart muscle, then they are not capable of proper contraction, and they result in a number of disorders including heart attack, cardiac arrest, and ultimately the heart failure may be a reason or effect of these CADs. The possible treatment for CAD is bypass surgery or use of stents. Stent means the rings, they are placed in the arteries so as to maintain their lumen, and in bypass surgery arteries, longer arteries is derived from any of our body part, generally from legs, and is transplanted to the heart and is used for supply blood to the heart. Heart failure, heart attack, cardiac arrest, any of the condition may arise due to these CADs or coronary artery disease. Then what is angina pectoris? It is a factor related to age. The aged person, they are more prone to this angina pectoris, commonly also named as angina. It occurs due to lack of oxygen. The lack of oxygen may be due to any situation, but the major conditions are those which are affecting blood flow, in which the depositions or the high blood pressure may be a reason for that. Then heart failure. What is heart failure? Failure means fail hona. The failure of heart to pump blood in enough amount which is required by the body. If the blood it get failed to pump that particular amount of the blood, then it result in the heart failure. It generally occurs due to pulmonary congestion, means the congestions in the lungs. If congestion it occurs in the lungs, then the gaseous transport it will be decreased, and gaseous transport it directly decrease in the decrease of oxygen level in the blood, and ultimately the decreased oxygen supply to the heart, and due to which the heart it is not capable of contracting and it can't pump the blood received by it to the body back in that particular required amount. And if the heart failure, it generally result in the bursting of heart, and the person it generally faces the bloody vomiting. Okay. With this chapter it is completed. So this is very interesting and very important and very easy chapter. There are some concepts, some mechanisms, and some topics which are very important and interesting. So read the chapter carefully. If you face any kind of difficulty, any kind of doubt, then you are free to ask me without any